Is it too good to be true? I want this so much, but
In the off-road industry, Polaris is #1 by a large margin for a couple of very good reasons. First, they build the industry's best vehicles in the majority of categories. They're always taking vehicles that are class leaders and completely redoing them to be even better. In a nutshell, Polaris never stops competing with themselves for that #1 position.
I'm stuck in the
The philosophy of beating yourself at your own game has been adopted on the snow side as well, and that constant progression of improving vehicles year after year is what ended up giving us last year's SnowTrax Real World Sled of the Year, the Indy XC137.
to be true. I want this so
Now we have the MATRYX, and one can only be left to wonder, is this yet another step up in terms of ride and handling over the axis? And if so, how will the competition ever catch up? For 2021, there are really only 3 different MATRYX models, the Indy XC Launch Edition, the Assault 146, and the VR1, all based on the same platform, but with different configurations. The VR1 is a top-of-the-line setup, not just in the MATRYX lineup, but the entire 2021 model lineup as well. It's ultra-premium and includes ultra-premium features like Walker Evans Velocity shocks front and rear, a carbon fiber overstructure, and the more than impressive 7S display. What's truly most important about this sled, though, is not what stuff it comes with. It's how it performs on the snow. The actual front end of the MATRYX, the suspension and bulkhead, are the same as on the Axis platform. The only real change to the front end are the sexy new forged spindles, but their geometry is the same as the old extruded ones, so they're mostly just for looks. Out back, you'll find the very same Pro CC skid frame as what was found in last season's Indy XC137. No changes at all. But before you start griping about this, let me just say that I think this was a great move by the engineers at Polaris, and here's why. The Indy XC137 was by far the best riding and handling sled on snow in 2020, so there really wasn't any need to mess with it. But due to a list of changes that happened elsewhere on the MATRYX, this setup rides and handles even better than last year's XC. It corners insanely flat, yet still retains all the light, predictable, and confidence-inspiring handling traits we loved about last year's Indy 137. Simply put, it is the easiest sled to ride fast ever, full stop. When you combine that stellar handling with its incredible ride quality, though, there is literally nothing bad to say about this sled in terms of ride and handling at all. Part of the secret to this incredible ride and handling is the ergonomic package that's made possible by all-new bodywork, gas tank, and seat. The seat is 1 inch lower, but you won't notice that. It's also 3 inches narrower where it meets the gas tank, and you will notice that, but in a good way. Maneuvering around this sled is pretty much effortless. The seat does look narrow, but it's actually very comfortable. However, it's this narrowness that allows you to simply roll your cheeks from side to side when you want to lean in the corners. At first you won't even realize you're doing it, but if you pay attention, the ergonomic trickery here becomes quite apparent. The entire cockpit on this sled is also new, and it feels only slightly different than an Indy XC, so it takes no time to get used to at all. What does take some getting used to, though, is all the new controls and features. This left-hand switchgear, for example, is all new, and it's quite sexy if I do say so myself. It controls not only your high-low beam and those incredible climate-controlled hot grips, but also the 7S display, which is a technological marvel in itself. The features and customization options combine to give you the easiest to use and easiest to read display in the industry. As I said before, the MATRYX bodywork is all new, but it also includes some trickery you might not see at first glance. The panels are incredibly easy to remove with just 3/4 turn fasteners. Gone is the rubber strap. The whole top pod now comes off effortlessly with just 2 Zeus fasteners, and there's less wiring to disconnect because the key is now mounted above the gas tank just below the handlebars. While the bodywork is smaller in every dimension, it still offers better wind protection than an Indy XC. This is thanks in part to this large gauge pod up top. But this gauge pod is more than just wind protection. The 7S display hides a massive storage bin that can hold up to 5 pairs of goggles, or a small dog or cat or gerbil or whatever you got. More storage can be found under the removable seat as well. And this just goes to show how far MATRYX engineers went to address the concerns and requests they heard from real-world riders. So let's get back to our original 2 questions. First, is the VR1 137 a step up from last year's Indy XC 137? Yes, it absolutely is. I'm not at all afraid to make the bold proclamation that this is, hands down, the best handling snowmobile ever made. It's also comfortable and rides great, it's warm, it has the highest tech features in the industry, and in my opinion, it looks dead sexy. So, to answer the second question, how is the competition ever going to catch up? Honestly, I have no idea. If you enjoyed this video, there's 2 things you need to do right now. Make sure you click that like button and subscribe so that you don't miss any of our new uploads. We upload content every week and we want to make sure you don't miss out on any of it.